14th regular meeting of the Medford City Council, April 5th, 2022 is called to order. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice President Bears. Present. Counselor Carviallo. Counselor Collins.
Present.
Counselor Knight. Present. Counselor Scarpelli. Present. Counselor Singh.
Present.
President Morrell.
Present. 7 present, 0 absent. The meeting is called to order. Please rise to salute the flag. Motions, orders, and resolutions. 22-300 offered by Counselor Knight. Be it so resolved that the city solicitor provide the Medford City Council with a draft ordinance requiring a monthly presentation by the finance director to review the warrant articles and projected versus forecasted revenues. Counselor Knight.
Madam President, thank you very much. This was a resolution that had been passed by this and previous councils on multiple occasions. This information has been very difficult to get and has not been coming forth with. So I think that at this point in time, it would make sense that we move forward and codify this request so that it would be part of our local law and therefore a requirement that we be provided with this information so that we can properly prepare for the financial responsibilities that we have as council.
Thank you, Counselor Knight. Any discussion
Second.
on the motion of Counselor Knight, seconded by Vice President Bears? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice President Bears.
Yes.
Counselor Carviallo. Yes. Counselor Collins.
Yes.
Counselor Knight.
Yes.
Counselor Scarpelli. Yes. Counselor Singh.
Yes.
President Morrell.
Yes. 7 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, the motion passes. 22-301 offered by Counselor Knight. Be it so resolved that the Medford Traffic Commission establish a letter carrier's parking pass for our letter carriers in accord with the past practice of holding the personal vehicles of letter carriers exempt from permit parking restrictions while conducting official post office business. Counselor Knight.
Madam President, thank you very much. At the risk of being told I'm not in a position to discuss this matter, I'd like to bring it forward anyway. It's been brought to my attention that Park Medford has been ticketing the letter carriers in our community. So the individuals that deliver us medications, bills, important pieces of mail, documents and the like, employees of the United States government, not the state government and not the local government, who are exercising their duties forthwith for the post office, not being held harmless in the execution of those duties, Madam President. Past practice has always been that our letter carriers would be held harmless when they were using their personal vehicles to conduct post office business. And this policy has apparently changed with the implementation of the in-house parking program. So I'd ask that the Traffic Commission take up the issue and create a letter carriers pass so that our letter carriers that are using their personal vehicles for post office business can park on city streets to deliver the mail and medication and the other materials that they deliver to the residents of the community free of interference from Park Medford.
Thank you, Counselor Knight. Vice President Bears.
Thank you, Madam President. Excuse me. I support this measure wholeheartedly. I'd like to propose a B paper just to request that the administration report to us on what communications methods they used to reach out to residents regarding the new parking program and whether or not they plan to include any information about this program in mailings to city residents or property owners.
Thank you, Vice President
So
Bears.
moved.
Counselor Carviallo.
Thank you. If Council wouldn't mind amending this to, if we could put a provision in there for the visiting nurses that come to many people's homes also. That's another common call I get is, the nurse comes to visit my mother or that comes in to do treatments and they don't have anywhere to park either. They get tickets on the street. So if we could maybe look at something for medical personnel who house visits, would be appreciated. So move.
Counselor Carviallo, any further discussion? Do you want to speak on the parking passes? Okay, any further discussion from the council? Name and address for the record, please.
Parking there is horrendous. And I've been to the mayor's office downstairs and I requested parking permits on that street and it's gone without any notice. When I go into other streets within Medford, I see parking places all over the place up in East Med, was it North Medford, West Medford? They have parking permit, but on that particular street on 22 Bradley Road, on Bradley Road, we cannot have parking for residents on that street. There's not enough spaces, and what happens is, everybody, I've lived there for 22 years, so I know what goes on. People come in from out of town, people that work into the center of the town, and I understand they pay taxes, but I inadvertently pay taxes through rent. They're allowed to park during the day. They come from Reading. They work all over Medford Square. They're allowed to park all day during that. I am like a hostage to my apartment.
Absolutely. So the traffic commission takes petitions for turning streets into permit parking. Have you worked with the traffic commission? Did the mayor give any indication you should work with the
No,
traffic
they didn't give
commission?
me any indications because I've gotten numerous tickets there, and now they ticket on a Saturday. I come out one Saturday and I had a parking ticket and I was like appalled. I paid the ticket because I didn't want to deal with the parking office up on Main Street.
Absolutely. So
It was horrible. And then I want to say one thing, because I have to get it off my chest. The year of 2010 was the worst winter in this city. And I remember it distinctly because I got out of graduate school and I was working and I couldn't get a job because of the economy. And every week I was getting parking tickets and they were putting parking meters on the street and giving out parking tickets to the residents during one of the worst blizzards. I think that's unconscionable.
I understand. I think those decisions predate this, most of us on the council. I know I have your email. I can reach out to the mayor. It is petitioning to turn the street into permit parking goes to the traffic commission. So I can follow up on that and make sure you're put in touch with the right person.
Yes, but now it's kind of a mute situation now
I
because of
understand.
what we're here for, but I believe we have to wait until the end to
I
speak.
understand. Understood. But I can follow up with you by email.
That would be true. Well, we'll see what happens now because I'm going to be forced to move.
Understood.
Thank you.
Yep, just name and address for the record,
Hello, my
please.
name's Donya Goss. I live at 26 Bradley Road. I have a disabled placard. Anyway, whenever the Chevalier Theater has a show, they're having a show Friday night, Joan Jett, great theater. Whenever there's a show, you cannot find a parking space within a quarter of a mile. And our building has 30 units. And there's maybe 5 or 6 spaces on the street because there's no parking lot. So it's very, for me, sometimes I go grocery shopping, I come home, I go around and around and around. I can't find a place to park and then I have to carry on. This parking is unbearable. That's
Yeah.
all.
Thank you. Yeah, I know.
Madam President, if I can,
Please.
excuse me. Quick question. Did you, I apologize, did you say you were handicapped? Did you?
Yes,
Do you have a placard?
yes.
And did they put a handicap spot on that street for you?
There is one handicapped spot in front of the senior citizen building,
Right,
but there are other senior
Right.
citizens that are handicapped in that building.
right.
So occasionally I will park there, but
Right.
not, sometimes I don't find a
Yeah,
space there.
but I hope we find a resolution for what our neighbors are going through on Bradley Road, but this is something that, as we move forward, I think it's something that we should talk with the traffic commission, maybe hold a meeting with the residents of Bradley Road, because this is something that's been going on for years and no one is listening.
There's just
no one's
not
talked.
enough physical spaces.
Right, but
That's the
well, maybe
problem.
there's other solutions that we could talk to the traffic commission when the time comes. So let's hope we could find the resolution for the biggest issue and then revert back and, circle back to the traffic commission because that's important. So thank you.
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
yep.
So, any further discussion? Anyone else would like to speak? So on the motion of Counselor Knight, as amended by Counselor Carviallo, seconded by Vice President Bears, and there's also the B paper from Vice President Bears, seconded by Counselor Scarpelli. So we're going to take the B paper first. And the B paper is to get an update from the administration on the communication methods used to reach out to residents regarding the parking changes.
And whether or not they sent any communications through mail.
Yes. Yep, please call the roll for the B paper.
Vice President Bears.
Yes.
Counselor Carviallo.
Yes.
Counselor Collins.
Yes.
Counselor Knight. Yes. Counselor Scarpelli.
Yes.
Counselor Singh.
Yes.
President Morrell.
Yes, 7 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, the B paper passes. The main motion by Councilor Knight, second by Vice President Bears. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice President Bears.
Yes.
Counselor Carviallo.
Yes.
Counselor Collins.
Yes.
Counselor Knight.
Yes.
Counselor Scarpelli.
Yes.
Counselor Singh.
Yes.
President Morrell.
Yes, 7 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, the motion passes. 22-0302, offered by Councilor Knight and Councilor Scarpelli. Whereas the sign posted along Rams Head and Keith Roads restricting parking along the wooded side of the street has displaced vehicles to a similar area of Judkins Road, be it so resolved that the Medford City Council requests the Traffic Commission approve similar signage along the impacted stretch of Judkins Road. Councilor Knight, Councilor Scarpelli?
If I may, Madam President. Yes, as the resolution reads, the Traffic Commission had erected signage along Ramshead and Keith's roads that has displaced vehicles. These roads abut Medford Woods, Victory Park, the backside of Victory Park, and there's access to walking trails back there. But what's happening is the street is a very narrow street. It's getting overrun by vehicles. The residents in the street can't back out of their driveways, can't find parking in front of their own homes. So it's creating a situation where the signage that the Traffic Commission put up has really displaced a number of vehicles to another neighborhood. It's now feeling a negative impact. So in the interest of parity, I'm hoping the Traffic Commission will take similar steps to treat this neighborhood as they treat others and ensure that the signage is erected so that the residents don't have to go through the weekends of recreational events going on in the community, very similar to what's going on.
Thank you, Councilor Knight. Councilor Scarpelli?
Thank you, and thank you, Council Knight, for expressing those concerns. I echo all of them. I think it's important that as we hear so all too often, even this evening, that a lot of the issues we're having with parking has nothing to do with Medford residents. It has people that come outside of Medford that want to use our recreational spaces or our restaurants or our theaters, and it really displaces the quality of life of our residents. So if we can, like Councilor Knight said, in the case that we've had in other locations and it's worked, I think we need to follow up on this stretch of road as well. So thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Scarpelli. Any further discussion? On the motion of Councilors Knight and Scarpelli, seconded by Vice President Bears. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice President Bears.
Yes.
Counselor Carviallo.
Yes.
Counselor Collins.
Yes.
Counselor Knight.
Yes.
Counselor Scarpelli.
Yes.
Counselor Singh.
Yes.
President Morrell.
Yes, 7 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, the motion passes. 22-303, offered by Councilor Carviallo. Be it resolved that the administration report back to the council with the status of the Veterans Office and how the veterans of Medford will be receiving services going forward. Councilor Carviallo.
Thank you, Madam President. We did receive an email. And it was a problem with that because Sheffield Wilmington wasn't getting that much. And the state statute, so I was supposed to staff all the time. But a lot of veterans have to go to Wilmington, get benefits, and they say, if someone comes here with an issue that needs to be dealt with today, where do they go? Yes, office, where are they gonna go? Sometimes these cases don't go home. So, again, even though the gentleman from Wilmington is going to be covering, I'm not happy with the fact that he's not going to be here today. We're interviewing anybody, and that office needs to be staffed immediately and not by telephone. One life is too many lives, let's say, the veterans that commit suicide on a daily basis. So, Madam President, I would hope that the mayor would come back with us and within the next week or two, saying that they're interviewing candidates for this job.
Thank you, Councilor Carviallo. Any further discussion? If you just want to read the last part, the update from the chief of staff, just to read out the contact information so people have it. So currently, if any veteran needs support, they can call the Medford Department of Veteran Services at 781-393-2505 or email Senior Clerk Darlene White at dwight@medford-ma.gov or Wilmington's Veterans Department at 978-694-2040, or email Mr. Louis Sinaglia directly at lcimaglia@wilmingtonma.gov. So that is the current information. I would hope that's also updated all over the website as well. Counselor Knight.
If we could just get a copy of the contract between the town of Wilmington and the city of Medford for these services from the administration. Appreciate it.
Do you want that as a just amendment?
Please.
Further discussion? More on Zoom. Seeing none, so we on the motion, Counselor Carviallo as amended by Counselor Knight, seconded by
Second.
Counselor Scarpelli. Mr. Clerk, when you are ready, please call the roll.
Vice President Bears,
Yes.
Counselor Carviallo,
Yes.
Counselor Collins,
Yes.
Counselor Knight, Counselor Scarpelli,
Yes.
Counselor Singh,
Yes.
President Morrell.
Yes, 7 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, the motion passes. 22-304, be it resolved that the Medford City Council requests an update from the city administration on the solid waste task force, including the scope and goals of the task force, opportunities for short and long-term waste reduction, efficacy evaluation of our current recycling services, opportunities to further reduce waste and more efficiently recycle in our next waste management contract, and how our city's progress towards a zero waste future can be publicly tracked and made available to the public. Be it further resolved that the administration provide an update on what, if any, regulations and requirements currently governs private waste and recycling haulers operating in Medford. Councilor Collins.
Thank you, President Morrell. Resolution speaks for itself. I know that we're coming up on, we're a bit more than a year out from when our city's waste management contract will be up. So I think it's, about time that we start, making sure that the administration is looking at how things are going with our current contractor towards an eye, with an eye towards how we can improve our overall waste reduction and efficacy of recycling in the next one. That doesn't necessarily mean a new contractor, but I think it's a good time to start reevaluating. And, we're always overdue for evaluating how we can be further accelerating towards a zero waste future, evaluating how good we are at recycling all the things that we think that we're recycling. And I also want to make sure that that also takes into account any private waste haulers that are operating on properties in Medford, to ensure that across the board, we're doing all we can to dispose of waste, recycle as efficiently as we can in line with our climate and pollution goals.
Thank you, Councilor Collins. Vice President Bears.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Councilor Collins, for putting this on the agenda. I think this is really an essential effort, considering when this contract goes up, the new contract will be pricier than the current contract. And as I think we've seen, there's a lot of increases in the cost of waste removal and waste management since we last signed the contract on this. One of the ways that we can mitigate the impact of the growing cost of waste removal, crowding out other essential priorities in the city budget, is to reduce the amount of overall waste that we are producing as a city. So I think this is a great resolution, and I second it and will support it.
Thank you, Vice President Bears. Any further discussion? Myself. Oh, sorry, Councilor Singh.
I wanted to thank Councilor Collins for introducing such a thoughtful resolution. Measures like this represent the action that we can take at the local level to address the growing climate catastrophe that we're facing. I know that many feel a sense of dread and hopelessness, but I think Councilor Collins shows us today that we can be hopeful, but we just have to act. And resolutions like this show that our city is acting, and that our city council in particular is trying to get the answers that we need to create the policies that we need to address the climate emergency. At the local level, both overall and at the local level, reducing waste is one of the key ways that we can pursue. One of the key paths we can pursue towards meeting a better future that's more sustainable. And so, I wholeheartedly support this resolution, and I think I would like our city to do, the city administration to do more research into what else we can what other measures we can take towards the zero waste goal. You know, there are a lot of cities that are innovating right now. They've developed textile recycling programs. They've done different programs with technical parts, and I would like to see our city explore those options, and also to make what options do exist more accessible to all Medfordians.
Thank you, Counselor Singh. Thank you, Counselor Collins. I just also want to note that this is, spent a lot of time in this area and in my day job, so I really think you're bringing this forward, and a lot of, if not most of the haulers contracted these days do have the ability to provide data. So I think this is a really important resolution, and something that we should be looking for as a city, because when we know better, we can do better. So I also really appreciate you bringing this forward. So on the motion, Counselor Collins, second by Vice President Bears. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice President Bears.
Yes.
Counselor Carviallo. Yes. Counselor Collins.
Yes.
Counselor Knight. Yes. Counselor Scarpelli. Yes. Counselor Singh.
Yes.
President Morrell.
Yes, 7 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, the motion passes. Reports of.
Madam President,
Vice
motion to
President Bears.
suspend the rules to take public participation.
On the motion of Vice President Bears to suspend the rules to take public participation, seconded by Counselor Collins. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice President Bears.
Yes.
Counselor Carviallo. Yes. Counselor Collins.
Yes.
Counselor Knight. Counselor Scarpelli. Counselor Singh.
Yes.
President Morrell.
Yes, 7 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, the rules are suspended to take public participation out of order. At this time, anyone would like to speak, please feel free to come to the podium. Or if anyone would like to speak on Zoom, you can raise your hand, but I don't see any hands on Zoom, so folks would like to speak in the chambers. One at a time when you're ready. Yes, you can, yeah, whoever wants to speak, you can come up. And yep, yeah, everyone can speak. Everyone who wants to speak can speak.
There's a lot of us here tonight.
Could I just name and address for
Oh,
the record,
sure, I'm
please?
sorry. Elizabeth Maloney, Liza Maloney, 26 Bradley Road. So thank you for giving us just a moment tonight. There's many of us here from 26 Bradley. So you're aware of kind of what's been going on. And I know last week I did speak with you too via Zoom. So we're hoping to work more closely with you. We've been given another 30-day extension, I guess, with our kind of eviction, if you will. It's just not enough time. There's families in the building with children in the Medford school system. It's sickening, to be quite honest with you. So we just hope to work with you more closely and keep coming to these meetings, meet the mayor next Thursday. We saw that she starts her kind of open house, if you will, again, and just stay together as we get through this process. But it's very upsetting that this kind of could happen in Medford to anyone. So if anyone else wants to.
Do have an update from our planning department as well. I can read, but I want to make sure everyone gets a chance to speak.
Thank you, Madam President, council members. My name is Sean Tevlin. I live at 26 Bradley Road, and I may be the senior member of the residents there. I've been there maybe 25 years. We just received a notice, certified letter on Friday, so stating that we have to vacate the premises. I've been there for 25 years. And, nothing like this. The Donatos owned the building at one time, and then it was sold to another management company, Sine, and then who in turn sold it to another management company who is now, I guess, I know, residency is a high commodity these days, and we have a lot of senior people here who live in the building as well as myself, and I just feel that we're just being kind of railroaded out of the building, without any cause. I mean, they don't really notify us about anything since I took over the building. it doesn't seem right. And what I've found out so far is that they've only given us like 30 days, and I think they're supposed to give us more time, and I'm not even sure, I'm not exactly sure how much time that is, but I mean, it just doesn't seem practical, and we're here today just to try to state our case about what's going on over there, so that's what we're doing here. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Joe Souza, Bradley Road. What, is there anything that you guys can do? Are we wasting our time? Not being sarcastic or anything, but is there anything that can be done legally, or are you guys just listening, or is there something you can do with this company, or to
Councilor Carviallo, if you.
I think, Councilor Rosa, but from what I've been told, I spoke to a couple of people that from what I understand, they've given another 30 days.
Right.
So everyone has 60 days. They are going to honor the leases that people have also until they expire also. But I know there's some people in there with vouchers that they're in a little bit of a tough spot, because if they get evicted, it can affect their voucher.
Right, and that's the weird part. They were renting apartments up to like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense, But for me, I'm gonna find something. But for a lot of people that live there, it's really, and as a city employee, it's really upsetting, it's ridiculous to let a company come in and upset people's lives, like, especially after what's been going on the last 2 years.
You would think that people would have more compassion.
Yeah, exactly.
But so I guess this is people just devastating to do something like this.
Should we be called up here to explain, or?
They don't,
Attorney called up and explained the situation that was going on there, and they were right the law to do what they did. And unfortunately, I know some of you may have received some information from the city, or some avenues, maybe for some funding or some help, but I'm not worried about that. So they are within their rights, so there's not much you guys can do either, but. Easier on you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And so sorry about this microphone buzzing. We're not sure why that's happening. To the question of, can we do anything? And I'm really grateful to everybody who's been in contact with the city council and other city officials about this. And we're really glad not to know about it, but glad to be kept updated about what's going on. And I think, I don't want to speak for my colleagues, but I think we all empathize with you, and we're upset that this is happening. But to the question of what can we do about it, I think, speaking only for myself, taking care not to speak for anybody else, we want to make sure that you're advocating to the people who have the power to help you in this position. Unfortunately, sorry, can I be heard at all? We need to make sure that you're advocating to the right people. We need to make sure that you're talking to the people who have the power to either, alleviate the expense and the inconvenience and the stress and the work and the anxiety of finding new housing.
Yeah, motion for a short recess. Can't hear on the broadcast, so.
Yeah.
When I talk, no, it's everybody's. Yeah. Motion for a 5-minute recess. Motion for recess, second by Council Collins. Yes. Yes.
Yes, if it's my turn.
Brief 5-minute recess has been called to address audio issues. Recess has ended. The meeting is back to order. I just want to go back to Counselor Collins. I believe you were in the middle, and then we have Vice President Bears, and then we'll come back to the residents. Whatever you want to do. Counselor Collins.
Thank you, President Merlin. Thank you to our AV wizard back there. What I was saying is that, we appreciate the tenants keeping us informed of your situation and, speaking only for myself and probably for many other, if not all of my colleagues, we stand in solidarity with you. We're sorry for what you're going through. I think that we need to make sure that you're advocating to the right people, the people with the power to adjust your situation. As it's been stated, since this is proceeding legally, there's nothing that we can do in these chambers, to wave a magic wand and give you, what you deserve, what you need, what you're asking for. And I think that, I'm certainly speaking for myself. I want to be in contact with, this tenant group to make sure that you're connected with the right people. I know that you've already received some very helpful, what I seem to be like helpful, pertinent information from our Office of Planning, Development, and Sustainability. I hope that to the extent that's helpful, you can remain in contact with our housing staff, other resources around the city. And I hope that, on an individual counselor basis, we can stay in contact to make sure that you're accessing the resources that are available to see what can happen here, to appeal to perhaps this property owner's better angels. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Collins. Vice President Bears.
Thank you, Madam President. I think you're all experiencing very directly the housing crisis that we're in this area. Something that we as a council have talked a lot about is housing stability and what city resources we can provide. But, I think Councilor Collins was very direct. We are constrained by state law. We can't go in and say, you can't do this. It's not within the power of the city of Medford to do that. What is within our power is to do what Councilor Collins said, and what I think, if President Morel may read the update, if it hasn't gone to all of you, provide as many resources and as much information as possible. We do have access to pro bono legal aid for housing situations for residents of the city. We have a program that helps people move within the city with financial support. And to be direct, there's a lot of state laws that need to change around this. I think we've been advocating, at least I've been advocating for some of those changes. At this point, even if they were to go through, it's not going to stop the situation, and I'm sorry for that. But they do need to change. The other piece of this is, I think, fully, if you are able, and if it, with the advice of legal counsel, I'm not a lawyer and I'm certainly not your lawyer. But if you're able to get that legal advice, you do have a significant number of protections on the table here. They've provided a notice to quit that's now going to be active after 60 days. That's the initiation of a process. It's not the end of a process. That process would then essentially begin an eviction proceeding, which would then take you before a judge. That can last months. It may not end the way that you want it to, but it may give you enough time to find something in this market. So I would suggest that, or with the advice of counsel, if it's possible for you, if it's not going to impact you negatively in some other way, just fully see out your legal rights, and that may extend the process with enough time. But we as a city also need to take, going forward, this is an example of why we need more resources for housing stability, more than just a couple people, more than just a couple affordable units, because it takes months and months and months to find housing in this market, and with the very limited supply of housing. So I'm also very sorry that this is happening. Big corporate change has just suddenly uprooted your lives, and I wish that we had more power to help, but certainly we can advocate, continue to reach out to this person, ask them to be compassionate, as Councilor Caraviello said, ask them to extend the time period. And if they won't do anything more there, I certainly would suggest that you avail yourselves of all of the options that come before you in the legal process to extend this and give yourself as much time as you can to find new housing.
Thank you, Vice President Bears. And then actually, if I could just read the update from Planning, Development, Sustainability, that might just be helpful to any questions that come up. And then, but of course, everyone is still welcome to speak. So this is from Alicia Hunt, who is the Director of Planning, Development, and Sustainability. And some of this is coming verbatim from the person who purchased the property. So if this is incorrect, I apologize. This is just the story that they are getting. So it's a 34-unit building. So the Director of Planning, Development, Sustainability, and the housing planner spoke with the owner and some of his representatives this past Friday. So it's a 34-unit building, and the owner let them know that 18 units were tenants at will, 14 have leases until the fall. The new owner purchased the building 1 year ago in March 2021, and he stated that all units that are tenants at will were in that status when he purchased the building. It's clear that his plan is to renovate kitchens, bathrooms, and redo floors, and that the tenants must vacate the apartments for this to occur, as they are 1-bathroom units. It was clear that rent would go up after the renovations. He agreed to extend the notice for the tenants at will an additional 30 days for those who needed an extension. His representative, Jay Walsh, contacted the department on Friday night to let them know that everyone has received a notice to quit, who had received a notice to quit had been notified that they could have an additional 30 days. The director with the city requested that the owner give the tenants with leases as much notice as possible, as it's necessary to look for new rental units in September, given this market. Look now for rental units in September, given the market. The owner indicated that he understood and would take into advisement and give more notice than he had been planning. The city director requested that he give the tenants the opportunity to stay in the building, potentially by giving them the option to return to their renovated apartment. This seems to be a new idea to him, but he seemed to think it was very reasonable and suggested that once some apartments were renovated, those with longer leases could be offered the option to lease one of the renovated apartments rather than being required to move out. The city emphasized that we very much would like to retain Medford residents in Medford. And I will make sure you guys get this. There's just like 2 more paragraphs. The city also presented him with information from the Medford Housing Authority on their opportunity for landlords to receive $1,000 for leasing a unit to a Section 8 voucher holder that hadn't previously leased to someone with Section 8, and let him know that the maximum Section 8 rents aren't what the maximum Section 8 rents are in Medford. It's the city director's hope that he would consider Section 8 voucher holders for the renovated units. The current Section 8 tenants are through the Arlington Housing Authority, and the landlord has been in touch with them to verify that everything that they did was legal. The city director did not ask him about current or future rent rates, as they were focused on keeping Medford residents housed at this time. And they just went on to note that they did flyer every door in the building with the flyers with regard to ABCD and the move-in, move-out program. If anyone didn't get that information, we can make sure that that gets to you. So any further questions we can relay to them. And as fellow councilors have said, we as a body don't have any statutory power, but we can absolutely advocate. We can reach out to, the city departments. I put in a call to Senator Jalen to see if there's anything that, we may not be thinking of that can be done. So I think even though we don't have direct power in this situation, as fellow councilors said, my heart breaks for you guys. This is obviously also, this is the tip of the iceberg, right? Like this is stuff that we've been trying to stave off for the past 2 years, and the housing market being what it is, we're unfortunately going to keep, this is going to keep happening to our residents. And it's not right. And we'll do what we can to stop it. But unfortunately, we don't have a lot of power in this situation. But thank you for bearing with me. Please just name and address. I mean, we know the address, but name and address for the record, please.
Many people here today, and ultimately, everyone kind of said what we're all thinking, right? Like we all wish that there could be a better resolution. We wish that someone would step in and help us. I think at the end of the day, the biggest issue that we have is that these companies are not going anywhere. They're going to buy more buildings in this town. They're going to buy more units. They're going to kick more people out and leave them without an option. And they're going to do it in a way that is unethical, is immoral. And I just don't think that this is a direction that the town of Medford, the city of Medford should want to trend in, because listen, I've lived here since 2015. I didn't always live in this building, but I've lived in Medford because I love living in Medford. As of May 1st, I'm living in Brighton, Massachusetts. I didn't want to, but I luckily found a place because I didn't know my options, right? And ultimately, I'm lucky. Other people in our building are not going to be as lucky. And these are citizens of our town. These are residents of our town that love being here. They want to be here. And for someone who has never been in the building to take that away from them and not give them a real option, it's just morally bankrupt. It's wrong. And I understand that there's limited power here for all of us, right? Us as residents, you guys as president, as counselors, we understand that. But we're an example of what's going to happen to more and more buildings in this town, right? And ultimately, you don't want that. I feel I wouldn't want that because I love Medford for everything Medford has. And if Medford ceases to be Medford, why are we going to be here? And why are we going to spend money here? Why are we going to spend time here? So I just wanted to make it known that this company, there's a lot like them, right? And they're not going anywhere. And I just think that there needs to be more sort of, it's a free market, but what are they doing for the people who live here? And how is it trending? Because at the end of the day, kicking us all out, putting a fake marble kitchen in and charging double the price, who are you bringing in, really? You're going to bring in people that don't care about this town and don't want to be here and don't want to settle down. So that's all I got to say about it. And thank you for giving me the time. Sorry, I'm not good at this kind of, everyone's in a suit. I feel really uncomfortable. So I'm sorry.
There's
about
no
that. You're really
dress
good.
code. Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak? See if there's anyone on Zoom. Any further discussion from the council? I will make sure, is there, I'm trying to think as far as it just to get, I'll work with the planning development and sustainability office just to make sure the contents of that email that I just read out gets to you all. I'm sorry, I'll work with the director of the Office of Planning, Development and Sustainability to make sure the contents of the email that I just read gets to everyone. I know you've probably been given that information in a few different forms, but I'll make sure it's packaged and it gets to everyone. I understand. I know. I apologize. Any further discussion? Okay. If you do want to come up to the microphone or.
I mean, this whole process here is a little bit moot. I mean, we have no rights because these corporations come in and they just take over and this has been going on. I've been in the Boston area for 40 years and as councilmen, as statesmen, the people, you're supposed to, and I'm not saying that you're not, but people should represent the people and they're not representing the people. They're representing the corporations who's got the deep pockets who can do whatever they want. And it isn't right. And I'm not mad at you.
No, you just, I think this is the wrong forum.
Yeah.
mean, is really
So
what
I
it is.
think,
This is the-
yeah,
This
exactly.
is just the inappropriate for you're in the wrong.
I
forum.
agree with you. I agree with you. So I'm
Yeah.
coming to that conclusion.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what is the next form? Do we take it, we have to take it to the next state level? Is that where it goes? I mean, but
Well-
at that point, it'll be moot. I mean, I'll be gone by then because
No one can throw you out of that apartment but a judge, right? It's not like after 60 days, they're gonna lock the doors, take away the key
Yeah.
and take all your stuff. I mean, they
Yeah.
can't do that, right? It has to go through a process,
I just
right?
want to let you know how traumatizing it was to get a message Monday afternoon at 12:58 saying to me, you need to vacate the property and all your belongings in 30 days. I called the property management. They would not pick up the phone. I spoke with them. I said, I have an ankle injury and I'm in physical therapy because I fell on the
Not even that, it's
And
you know why, right?
and they still
So-
said, no,
Right,
you have to
I
be out.
understand that everybody has a personal circumstance, there's 32 units in the building. But, ultimately, right, it's, you have to vacate or what? Or we're gonna take you to court, right? It's not.
But I don't want to
well,
be, I don't want on my record to be evicted. I mean,
but
I
it's
don't
not
need that on my,
but
I
it's-
don't need
It's a
that.
no-fault eviction because it's not for non-payment of rent.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's not for non-payment of rent. It's not for, selling drugs out of the apartment.
No,
or
no,
for
no.
cause, right? It's a contract issue, right? It's a contract issue between the property owner and the tenants that are in the property, right?
Yeah.
So ultimately, the forum where it's gonna be resolved would be
In a court with a
in
judge.
some type of mediation,
Right.
whether in the court system, you know what I mean, as this goes through the process. But the notice to quit is just like, listen, in 30 days, we're filing an application. That's really what it is, right? So they're giving you 30 days notice to say they're gonna take action. Right now, through the discussions that have happened here at this body and through with the administration, they've said, look, it's not gonna be 30 days now. It's gonna be 60 days now,
Correct.
right? And if anybody is a tenant at will whose lease is up, we're not gonna move on them, right? We're gonna wait 60 days.
Correct.
Right, so, then that's gonna start, that's gonna initiate the process, but think between the, what, now is it 18 units that have leases and 14 that don't,
Yes,
or vice versa?
it is. Yeah, 18 without
18,
leases and
right, so
14
there's
with.
18 with leases, right, all probably expiring at different times. all with
Yeah.
60-day notices to quit. By the time this building gets empty, how much time do you think it's gonna pass?
Right, it's gonna be at least 6 months, because I know
6
my neighbor,
months?
my neighbor, I don't know
Way
how long,
more than
honestly.
that.
My neighbor just signed a lease. She just moved in and the lease is over in August, she told me. I honestly don't know, sir.
Right, exactly.
It's just the manner in which they did this
Yeah.
was inhumane.
Well, and I mean.
And I understand they have a right to buy a building. I understand they have a right to do whatever they want with the property. But it's the manner in which they went about doing it to people was totally wrong. And they knew when they bought the building, how long those tenants were in that building. So they knew they should be dealing with this in an appropriate manner with people who have been residents there for a long time. People recognize business is business, but there's also a humanity part of this too, which is more, it's principle.
I mean, yeah, you're talking to public servants. I mean,
You know,
absolutely,
it's the
that's
principle, and I'm not mad
recognized.
at, it's just the
Yeah.
principal matter of this and the manner in which they did it. I'm totally traumatized.
And that's fair. I mean, there's the answer that Counselor Knight just
Yeah.
gave you, which is about the specific circumstance in the court of law and your legal rights. I mean, then there's the other question that you're bringing up. You've been here for 40 years. That means that you remember 30 years ago when voters in Wellesley voted away rent control for people in Boston, who do you think owns the corporations that are buying up the apartment buildings?
Exactly, exactly.
And that's where it is, we are extremely limited by state law. There's a couple things that we can try to do. We can try to provide more resources and notice about your legal rights, which is what we were able to do in this case. That's something we can do. I mean, I'm an advocate of asking the state to implement a lot of laws to kind of create a better set of conditions for
Well, I
people.
think it needs to go to the state legislature, honestly, because, if it's not me next, you next, you know what I mean?
Right.
If people don't speak up,
Right. And there's a lot of
it'll
groups,
be like California, you won't be able to live here.
there's a lot of groups and tenants advocates and people who are saying, begging the state government, they'll do anything, unanimously, they'll pass a law that says, we'll free up this zoning and you can build something bigger, but they won't attach to it just cause eviction or rent stabilization, so you can't have a 30% rent increase in a single year, or, the tenant opportunity to purchase, or all these other things that would give tenants more of a balance in this fight. And so, that's something that we can advocate for, but we legally can't implement any of that unless
No,
the
I
state lets
understand.
us. And I'm just saying, it's worth going to the next level and saying, this happened in your state rep district or your state senate district, and we need you to do something. I think you've made a very strong point about the conditions of who's making the law in
Yeah,
Massachusetts.
and I do appreciate your time and and the resources. However, I mean, I did call some of the numbers and I feel as though that I call this number and then go to this person. Oh, now we're gonna go to this person. Then it's like this person. This is why I never became a public servant, because I like to produce and I like results.
I hear you.
I don't like passing, and I'm not saying you are passing the buck,
Take it first.
but people will pass the buck.
Yeah.
And where does the buck stop?
Maybe if I can.
And I'm just saying, and I'm not saying
No,
you.
no, maybe if we can, maybe we can ask Ms. Hunt to, I know they're thin, but with this being such a dire situation, having a assigned member for her office, they're working directly with the families and the homeowners of Bradley Road.
I'm willing to
Just-
be an advocate, even for the
Yeah.
state, because
Right.
this is getting out of
But-
control.
But I think with this is such a dire situation, I think that, and one of the biggest things is having someone on the other line. I think that's important. I think the least that we can do is recommend that
would be nice.
Ms. Hunt puts a identified representative from their office that's going to work directly with the people of Bradley Road because of this dire situation. I don't think they'll balk at that. I think that they'll really work hard to do that. But I think that's very important that, where we're handcuffed, at least you should have an avenue within our city hall that are going to at least point you in the right direction and make sure that someone's going to be on the other line. Because I can't even imagine what you're going through right now and the stress level. At least we can do is ask the city to take that stress level out so they can help you moving forward with those chores. So
No, thank you.
if I could recommend that, that'd be something that.
No, I appreciate that, because, I did make a call this week, and the woman says, well, you can go live in a shelter.
Well, that's great.
That's what they
Yeah,
told
that's
me.
disgusting. So,
My sister lived in a shelter, and I used to go to that shelter.
well, I think if we can, Madam
Yeah,
President.
yeah,
If we
absolutely. I
can do
will.
that, because there are avenues, and I know that it's easy for us to sit on this side, and it's easy
Yeah.
because we have we have homes right now, but the idea of what you're going through, we can't say we understand because we don't. But we
Well-
can also understand that if we can do this and we could follow, from what I've talked to a few different attorneys, by law, I can't tell you
No, I
what
get
they
it. I
said,
get
but
it.
I know that, like Council Knight says, this isn't an easy process.
No,
And you
it
as-
has to go to the
as
state level.
residents
It has
there-
to go to the
no,
state
and
level.
Even as you as residents there, if you take advantage of what we have in the city to finance legal representation, that building can stay the same for a long time. And what you're doing is you band it together. That's very important. Have someone direct you from the city to the right avenues and make sure that someone's on the other line and follow through with the resources we can offer you. And I think that at least gives us some time to find out other ways that we can get to the state and have the state representatives look at different options, whether it's finding ways to, work directly with housing within different state housing processes or whatnot. So there's got to be something out there that, like you said, this is the worst case scenario. And I know what's happening today. And like Council Bear says, this is probably the beginning of something more drastic moving forward, but
I mean, if you look at the
So
rents
we
out there,
understand.
the rents out there, and I've already saw 4 apartments and I just cried.
yeah, no. it's-
I just cried.
know.
I was just like, and what they're charging for $1,700? I mean, it's pretty, I mean, you walk in, the carpets are dirty, you go out, not even 2 feet, and you get a big plate of salt, and there's your shovels, you can shovel your own walk. That's really what, you can live in this basement apartment, but we're not gonna clean it. But you can request it to be cleaned. I said, excuse me, it's not clean now, you're not gonna clean it after I move in. Or before I move in, after I send the lease.
So at the recommendation of Council Scarpelli.
Yeah, I
will reach
appreciate
out
that, and I
to-
apologize that I'm so
No,
upset.
no, you
No,
have every
yeah.
right to. That's the reason why we're here. We wish we could do more, but we're here to listen and help in any way we can.
No, I
So
appreciate that, I
if this
do.
is little that we can do, and at least let you know that you have 7 people that understand, can be there for you just to listen, that's the best we
No, I
can do.
appreciate that,
I
I
hope
do.
that can help, but
No,
listen, I wish I could do
you
more.
guys have, you've been wonderful, thank
Yeah.
you, I appreciate you taking the
I wish we
time.
could do more.
It's good that it's voiced here, and I
Yeah.
think it needs to be representative throughout the state. I've just seen so much, it's incredible.
And
It's
I
just
will-
incredible what
We're
happens.
sorry.
I'll follow up with Director
Thank
Hunt
you.
to get you guys a dedicated contact person, just so to at least try to mitigate the call here, call there, the
Sure,
bouncing
I can
around.
be an advocate because it has to stop. It has to stop somewhere.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving
Motion to revert back to
on,
regular business?
on the motion of Counselor Knight, seconded by Counselor Carviallo to revert to regular order of business. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Yes, 7 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, the motion passes, reverting to regular order of business. Reports of committees, 22-012, March 29th, 2022, Subcommittee on Ordinances and Rules. Vice President Bears, if you could provide us a brief overview of that meeting.
Thank you, Madam President. Last week, we met again in Subcommittee on Rules and Ordinances. This is, I think, our 3rd meeting. At our March 9th meeting, we reported out a number of suggested changes. We reported out a number of additional suggested changes at our March 29th meeting. And those will be, I believe, included in packets this week, both a track change document and a clean document. The other item we reported out was an item for further discussion, which was around our meetings, days, times, Tuesday to Wednesday, bi-weekly, a number of other matters that the subcommittee felt required the full discussion of the council and not a recommendation from just 3 counselors. So that will be kind of the agenda, is going over the suggested changes as well as a discussion of the meeting times for the council.
Thank you, Vice President Bears.
Move approval.
On the motion of Counselor Knight to approve the records, committee records, seconded by Vice President Bears. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
Yes.
Counselor Collins.
Yes.
Counselor Knight.
Yes.
Counselor Scarpelli. Yes. Counselor Sam.
Yes.
Yes, 7 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, the motion passes. 22-078, March 30th, 2022, Committee of the Whole Meeting Report. This was a meeting on the proposed polystyrene ban. We reviewed the draft that was edited by KP Law. There was no debate over the minor edits that were made. The only change that was suggested and voted on was to adjust the effective date to July 2023, and that will be coming before the full council next week. I have a motion to approve. On the motion of Vice President Bear, seconded by Councilor Carviallo, to approve the committee report. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Yes, 7 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, the motion passes. Records, the tabled records of the meeting of March 22nd, 2022 were passed to Councilor Carviallo. Councilor Carviallo, did you have time to review them? On the motion of Councilor Carviallo to approve the records, seconded by Vice President Bears. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Yes, 7 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, the records are adopted. The records of the meeting of March 29th, 2022 were passed to Councilor Collins. Councilor Collins, how did you find them?
I found them in order and I move for approval.
On the motion of Councilor Collins, seconded by Councilor Carviallo. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Yes, 7 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, the records are adopted. On the motion of Councilor Knight to adjourn, seconded by Councilor Scarpelli. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
Yes, 7 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, the meeting is adjourned.